Hey everyone, it's Argonaut here from The Right Way. Before we start, remember, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up at the end. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down at the end. And if you like my content, please subscribe, as it just means that the YouTube algorithm will notice my content a bit easier and more people will find it. So let's get on to this particular article. This is from Nigel Farage. So if you don't know, Nigel Farage was the leader of the Brexit party in the UK when they went through all of their Brexit elections and things like that. And this is an article about how the crazy left-wing people over there in the UK put ideology above anything else, including people that are dying, and we'll see what's happened in this particular article. So Nigel Farage, the headline is, "Last week I was cancelled by a doctor who puts politics above the dying." So you know the Hippocratic Oath, right? That you always try and help people who need help. So this doctor puts his ideology above people who are actually dying. This is just crazy and disgusting behavior by the crazy left-wing people over there. And, well, it's pretty much everywhere, isn't it, in the world? So let's have a read about what happened. So this is Nigel Farage actually writing about what happened to him. "Last week I was cancelled. Over the years I've developed a thick skin after receiving abuse and facing physical threats, but the vindictiveness of the cancel culture mob knows no limits, and generally the cancel culture mob is only the left-wing nut jobs. You never really hear about right-wing people going on about wanting to cancel people, because generally people on the right always believe in free speech, and how you counter speech which isn't your way of thinking, or which isn't very good, is you counter it with more speech, not cancelling people. This latest cause not only proves how a sickness is increasingly infecting a large part of the British culture and shows no sign of abating, but now it is damaging society's most vulnerable. I had been invited to speak at an event at the Preston Grasshoppers Rugby Club next month to help raise money for a local hospice. Like all such charities, it relies on donations to carry out its work for the sick or terminally ill." So this is not some right-wing Tory party or anything. It's just a rugby club wanting to help raise money for their local hospice, and they asked Nigel Farage to speak. "It was billed as an evening with Nigel Farage, the man not the myth, an entirely non-political affair. I was due to give a speech and then take questions about my life and career. Dare I say it was going to be a bit of a pre-Christmas fun in aid of a good cause." Now I guess maybe these left-wing nutjobs didn't know that it was going to be apolitical, but they should have probably at least did some research and figured out what the whole thing was going to be about before they went and cancelled him. But no, they just went ahead and did it anyway. So this is one of these left-wing ideologue nut jobs who puts their ideology above helping people in need. "Everything was going swimmingly until one or two politically active members of the rugby club took offence at the idea of the event. A local Labour councillor agreed and an online campaign was launched questioning why it was being held." Yep, can't trust those Labour MPs over there in the UK, because they are just as ideologue driven as everyone of the left-wing people over there. Inevitably, I shouldn't say everyone, sorry. Most of the far left are like that. "Inevitably, social media abuse was triggered. The most offensive was on Twitter, with a particularly vocal ranter called Hussein Kambalia. He describes himself as a surgeon and has the EU flag on his Twitter profile, suggesting that he and I have very different views when it comes to being governed by Brussels. And that's okay. You can, of course, have disagreements between people. For such hardline Remainers, Brexit is a crime that can never be forgiven, even if that means charities such as St Catherine's Hospice in Preston are denied extra funds. What an irony that a man of medicine is putting politics above end-of-life care. What a disgusting trash human being you are, Dr. Hussein Kambalia. Why don't you dip into your own pocket and donate all the money that might have been raised from this yourself, seeing as you're one of the people that got this cancelled? That is absolutely disgusting behaviour, right? Not content with targeting me in a pattern of attack used by many online campaigners, the rugby club's committee and the hospice itself were abused by trolls. Sadly, these threats, often hiding behind the cloak of anonymity offered by social media sites, rattled both the club and the hospice, as you would probably expect, because they never actually expected any of those kind of things to happen to them. On Monday, it was announced that the event had been cancelled. I've been told that the rugby club's chairman has since resigned in protest at the cancellation. Good on you, rugby chairman. Well done for sticking to your principles. There's no point being there if it's going to be run like that. While several members, including former England rugby internationals, are furious too. As for the hospice, it has been intimidated to such an extent that the boss felt forced to acquiesce. In other words, the hate fest from the hard left trolls had prevailed, and the well-being of a hospice with a catchment area of 380,000 people had been sacrificed. Where will this toxic cancel culture end? It seems there is no limit to the number of people who some think should be erased from the present or murdered from history without any kind of debate, just like Cambodia's despot Pol Pot declared that his country would start again at year zero. Most disgracefully, many companies, some in the charity sector and too many in the media, bowed to this Marxist agenda. Yeah, so I mean, I guess if the hospice and the rugby club just told everyone to F off, it would have died away. But as you know, the far left have a very big sway in the mainstream media, because the mainstream media are also to the left as well, and they perpetuate all of this ideology. It would be farcical if it were not so disturbing. This is not an argument about free speech, it is something much more fundamental. It is about whether certain individuals should be allowed to exist. Such a deranged notion is akin to the unperson invented by George Orwell in 1984, an individual who, usually for political or ideological reasons, has been expunged by the state and all trace erased. This is exactly the aim of those behind today's cancel culture. That is exactly correct, Nigel Farage. I would like to think that they would not commit murder to achieve their aims. You never know, though. Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it past some of those really far left-wing nut jobs, that's for sure. For most of my life, Britain has been a place where different beliefs have been tolerated. People with an opposing view were free to express it, yet in the age of Twitter and other social media platforms, having a private opinion can be a crime. That's the whole thing about the left-wing, right? They promote diversity and inclusion, but if anyone doesn't believe what they believe, they're ostracized. So diversity and inclusion go completely out the window. It doesn't matter what your race is. If you're a black person and you go against the left-wing narrative, you are also ostracized and cancelled as well. Just look at Dave Chappelle over in America. As a result, a charity event with which they have no personal link can be cancelled just because they disagree with the individual who's giving a speech there. And he wasn't going to talk about Brexit or anything like that anyway. Britain is now in the grip of a terribly dangerous fever for which no politician or organisation has so far been strong enough to find a cure. Watch out, you could be cancelled next. And I'm hoping to hell that New Zealand doesn't get to this sort of state, but it's getting that way in New Zealand as well. And maybe if you're watching in a different country, you might be seeing the same things in your country as well. We just need to speak up. We need to keep believing what we believe in, and we need to keep talking about this so that they don't eventually get their way. Anyway, let me know what you think. What do you think of the despicable doctor who managed to help get this charity event cancelled for people who are in hospice care, who are on their last weeks or months of living, and the money could be used to help provide a more comfortable life for them in their last few weeks or months on the planet. So it's absolutely disgusting in my opinion. But let me know what you think in the comment section. And as I said before, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give it a thumbs down. And if you like my content, please subscribe, because it just helps the YouTube algorithm to notice my content. Right, that's it for this video. Hopefully I will catch you in the next one.